Hello, welcome to Module 3 on how to prepare a School of Graduate Studies research grant proposal. In this module, we'll spend a little bit more time than in the previous modules. Here, we will talk about how to develop a budget as well as citing references that were mentioned in your proposal. So the first question in terms of preparing a budget is, what can you request? As mentioned before, $7,500 is the maximum allowed. You may ask for a stipend to support yourself over 2 semesters if you wish. Or you can ask for hourly wages, either for yourself or to hire another student as an undergraduate to help you out. You can use the money to purchase supplies for your research or even small pieces of equipment if needed. You can request the dollars for travel, either to go to a meeting or to even collect data. Also, the cost of publication or poster presentation may also be requested. In some instances, contractual arrangements may need to be part of the budget. You may ask others to do an analysis or some other task for your research that you are unable to do. And there's also another category called Other that you may want to specify that is needed to complete your research. So, how do you develop a proposal budget? To start off, some grant writers consider this the most challenging part of writing a proposal. They either give too much detail or too little detail. So you need to strike the right balance of information so that the reviewer understands what you are requesting and why. We usually suggest using a table with categories to make your requests. Separate from the actual table where you make your dollar request should be a separate section justifying each item that you are requesting. So the budget request or the table previously mentioned can be subdivided into such items as personnel, such as a stipend request, hourly wages, and so forth that we just mentioned. A separate category for materials to be purchased to support the research you are proposing. Travel, as mentioned, either for collecting data or for going to a meeting. And of course, contractual and publication costs if applicable. Here's a good example of a budget request. You can see on the left-hand side we have the categories of personnel, materials or equipment, travel, contractual, and publication costs. Notice under each category we have the request. Under personnel, you have a stipend that's being requested for a cost of $3,000. Similarly, under materials and equipment, you have 2 requests: chemicals, reagents, syringes, and needles for $500, payment to human subjects for $15 each to total $750, and so forth, for a grand total, in this case here, $6,250. This is the request. How do you calculate or come up with some of these numbers? Well, for calculating hourly wages or personnel, you can use the following method. Now remember, usually when we ask for hourly personnel, you can include a stipend or you may want to hire an undergraduate student to work. Let's assume, though, you're talking about an hourly person that you want to hire. And you say you need to have 10 hours per week for a 15-week semester. If you decide to hire someone at $8 per hour, your salary request would be as follows: 15 weeks times 10 hours per week times $8 an hour, which would be $1,200 you would need for that 1 semester. If you want 2 semesters, you would double that number. However, you need to add something called fringe benefits to this figure. For students at UMKC, this rate is 4%. So this means that you take the $1,200 from your budget and multiply that number by 4%, which in this case is equal to $48. Thus, for the personnel request, the total that you're requesting is $1,200 plus $48 for a grand total of $1,248. A separate section needs to include budget justification. Each item that is listed in the table, you need to explain why you need the item requested and how you determine the amount that you're requesting. You don't need to complete each category if you don't have any requested items, such as materials or equipment. If you are requesting the full $7,500 as a stipend, explain why you need it. Some on a graduate teaching assistant may want to go from a 0.5 FTE to a 0.25 FTE and use other dollars to support themselves so they can devote more time to the research. Others may not need this as a stipend, but may want to hire an undergraduate student to help them out. So here's an example budget justification. Going back to the budget previously presented, let's look at a sample justification. Under personnel, remember that this investigator, hypothetically, was requesting $3,000 as a stipend. This person writes down, I am requesting $3,000 stipend to help support my graduate studies with $1,500 each semester. Under materials and equipment, the writer writes, I plan to obtain blood from 50 subjects and need syringes, needles, and chemicals to conduct chemical analysis of the blood. I want to pay the subjects $15 each to help pay for the time and transportation it took to take part in the study. Travel. I want to attend the national meeting for experimental biology to present the results of my data. This will pay for my airfare, about $350, registration fee, about $100, and so forth. Under contractual, the writer says, I will be sending a portion of the blood samples to conduct analysis for which I do not have the capacity. Each sample will cost $20 and there will be 50 samples sent, adding $1,000 to the request. And finally, there's a request for a publication, in this case for a poster in the amount of $200. Now let's move away from the budget and talk about references. In your literature review and perhaps other parts of the proposal, you may have cited some pertinent references. There are a number of ways of doing this. A lot of individuals will follow the APA method. Whatever method you use, you want to include at least the following: the author or authors' names, the publication date, the title of the article, and include the journal or the book in which you found the reference in. The volume and page numbers should also be included. Final note, don't forget that all research proposals that involve human subjects, animals, or radioactive isotopes or infectious agents must receive approval by the IRB before funds can be released for your research. Let's go on to how your proposal will be reviewed. On the next page, in a moment, you will see a scoring sheet that each faculty judge will use to review your grant application. A 5-point like or like scale is used for each variable to be assessed. Note that in some cases, the variable is weighted higher than others. For instance, your goals and objectives will have twice the scoring weight compared to the letter from your academic advisor. The total number of points for each proposal possible is 60. Funds will be based on ranking of the proposals by points, assuming all eligibility requirements have been met. And here we go with the actual sheet, for each of the 8 categories and the weight for each category. Finally, at the bottom of each scoring sheet is a recommendation of definitely fund, do not fund, fund only if resources are available. This completes Module 3 in the entire series on how to prepare an SGS research grant proposal. Happy writing! Thank you.